A planet isn't supposed to fall apart while it's still alive. Not like T's, because out there, in the cold and empty space between stars, planets are built to survive billions of years. They can freeze, take on burn, they can get hit by asteroids, and still keep going. But this planet, is melting from the inside. And we can actually see it happening. At first glance, it looks normal. Just another rocky world, orbiting quietly, minding its business. But when scientists started analyzing the surface, they noticed something that didn't make sense. It wasn't just hot, it wasn't just active. It was breaking. Imagine a planet where the ground can't hold itself together anymore, where the crust is cracking like glass, and the inside is pushing outward like it's trying to escape. Massive fractures. Glowing seams, entire regions collapsing into something beneath the surface. And here's the terrifying part. This isn't a someday problem. This isn't a millions of years from now event. This planet is doing it now. So the question isn't what is happening. The question is, what kind of planet melts from the inside without exploding? Because normally, a rocky planet has rules. The core stays buried. Heat rises slowly. The crust acts like armor. Even worlds with volcanoes still have stability. Pressure builds, erupts, releases, and resets. That's how Earth works. That's how Mars worked. That's how most rocky planets behave. But on this planet, the entire surface looks like it's losing the war. The cracks aren't random. They spread like a pattern, like the planet is being pulled apart, like something deep inside is heating faster than the surface can handle. And once the crust fractures, everything gets worse. Heat escapes, pressure shifts, the ground weakens, and the next crack becomes easier. It becomes a chain reaction. One break leads to another. Then another. Then another. Until the planet doesn't have a solid face anymore. It has plates, floating chunks. Regions that look like they're drifting over a glowing underworld. And if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear the part that made scientists go silent. This planet shouldn't be able to look like that, and still exist. Because if the inside is hot enough to do this, it should have turned into a lava ocean long ago. And if it's breaking this aggressively, gravity should pull the crust down and smooth everything out again. But it doesn't. Instead, it stays broken. It stays unstable. Like it's stuck in the middle of destruction, unable to finish collapsing. That's what makes this planet terrifying. It's not just extreme. It's not just hot. It's unnatural. Like a world caught in a slow-motion death spiral, and what makes it even worse is that this kind of planet can't hide. If it's melting from the inside, it leaves fingerprints, signs in the atmosphere, signs in the heat, signs in the way the planet shines when it passes in front of its star. Because when a planet is tearing itself apart, the surface changes, the chemistry changes, the energy changes. It stops behaving like a solid world and starts behaving like something halfway between a planet and a furnace. So, what could cause that? What kind of force can melt a planet from within, keep it cracked, and keep it alive at the same time? In the next part, we're going to break down the single mechanism that can turn a rocky world into a living pressure cooker, without needing an explosion, a collision, or a disaster we would normally expect. Because this planet isn't being destroyed by something outside of it, it's being destroyed by what's inside. And once you understand what that force is, you'll realize why some planets don't just die. They unravel. To understand how a planet can melt from the inside without instantly becoming a complete lava ball, you need to understand one brutal concept. A planet can be heated not by its star, but by gravity. Not normal gravity. Not it keeps you on the ground gravity. I'm talking about tidal gravity, the kind of force that stretches a world like a stress ball. Because most people think a planet only gets hot from one thing, being too close to its sun. That's why Mercury is hot. That's why Venus is a furnace. Heat comes from above, from sunlight. But tidal heating works the opposite way. It comes from below. Here's the idea. If a planet's orbit isn't perfectly circular, The gravitational pull it feels changes constantly. Sometimes it's pulled harder. Sometimes less. Sometimes it's squeezed. Sometimes released. And when that squeezing happens over and over again, it generates heat inside the planet, like bending a paperclip back and forth. It doesn't take fire. It takes pressure. Every orbit becomes a punch. Every close approach becomes a squeeze. And the interior starts warming up. Not because it wants to, but because it can't stop being flexed. This is real. We've seen it in our own system. One of Jupiter's moons, Io, is the most volcanically active world we've ever observed. Not because it's close to the Sun, but because Jupiter's gravity and the pull of other moons constantly stretch and compress it. It's basically being kneaded, like dough, and that heating is so intense that Io's surface is covered in lava, eruptions, and glowing cracks. Now imagine that same phenomenon, but scaled up onto an entire planet. And here, is where it gets terrifying. A planet DOS and T need to be extremely close to its star to suffer tidal heating. It needs to be trapped. Trapped in a gravitational tug-of-war. Because if this planet has a massive neighboring planet, or a close companion, or it sits in a resonance, a repeating gravitational rhythm, then the orbit never it stays imperfect, it stays stretched. It stays under constant stress. And that means the inside never gets a break. The planet heats. The crust weakens. Cracks form. But instead of erupting normally, like a volcano, and releasing pressure cleanly, the entire surface begins to fail in patches. That's why it looks like it's breaking not one volcano, not one hotspot. The whole world is stressed. And the reason the cracks glow is because beneath that crust is heat that shouldn't be that close to the surface. Molten rock, superheated material, a layer that is basically trying to surface. But the planet doesn't fully collapse into a lava ocean because the crust still exists. In some places it's strong enough to hold. For now, so what you end up with is a planet that looks like it's dying in fragments, and the more it cracks, the worse it gets. Because cracks don't just release heat, they change the entire thermal balance of the planet. Once cracks open up, heat escapes faster. The surface cools unevenly. The planet contracts in some places and expands in others. Stress increases. So the cracking accelerates. That's why this isn't stable. This is a runaway process. Now add one more layer of nightmare. When the interior heats up like this, it doesn't just melt rock. It can start stripping a planet's atmosphere, too. Because the heat drives extreme volcanic activity, outgassing massive chemical reactions. And if the planet is close enough to its star, that atmosphere gets blasted by radiation and stellar wind. So the planet is being attacked from both sides. Inside, gravitational pressure turning the core into a furnace. Outside, the star ripping away whatever the planet tries to hold on to. It becomes a battle a planet can't win, and that creates something truly rare. A world that isn't just hot. A world that is actively disintegrating. But here's the part that makes scientists obsessed with this kind of planet. A melting planet like this might be one of the clearest signals we can ever detect from Earth, because the debris it produces. The dust, the heated gases, the weird chemical fingerprints. They don't stay hidden. They leak into space. Which means we can detect it. We can see the evidence of a planet tearing itself apart from light years away, just by watching the way its star flickers and how the spectrum shifts. So now the question becomes, if tidal heating can do this, how far can it go? Because there's a final stage, a point where the planet stops being a planet and becomes something else entirely. And in the last part, I'm going to show you what happens when a rocky world crosses the line, and the inside finally wins.